Hola, amigos. Thank you for being here. I'm IsaSilver. I am a human design translator, and I present 12 blue lines every 6 days as a way to get more intimate with the details of human design. And this week, I am going to do something slightly different. I'm going to go in a different order, starting with the sixth line, and I'll show you why in just a moment. I will review 6 frequencies of tribal intimacy. I will review 6 frequencies of individual abundance. But I'm going to start in the sixth line because that is where humanity is going in its conditioning starting in 2027. And I'm talking now about a macro scale global cycle phenomenon called the locks and the keys. And if you're not familiar with this yet, I empathize with your confusion. I was there some years ago. But now what I'm seeing is that humanity overall, like the whole planet, goes through cycles that are very long. We're looking at over 400 years here. And, and it has to do with the identity and direction of humanity going through different experiences. So for the past 400 years, the way for humanity has been loyalty. Gate 37, you can see a little red arrow pointing at a little 37. And its polarity, work. Work has been the temple where we've been worshiping, so to speak, for the past 400 years. Loyalty and work have created the modern world that we know. But the cycle is changing, everything is always moving, and by 2027, it will no longer be work and loyalty as the way and the temple. The way will be individual abundance and emotional spirit of materialism and tribal intimacy. And it will start not in the first line, but in the sixth line. And that's why I'm going to start there today. The sun transiting the gate of intimacy called it, Ra called it the gate of sexuality. The old I Ching called it dispersion. This is about penetrating the other to make more, not necessarily sexually, but also sexually. And the sixth line, the aloof line, the one that's not really part of the hexagram, but yet is looked upon as representing it, union is the keynote by the Blue I Ching. The power of intimacy regardless of conditions. You can be intimate with the person on the plane next to you. They can leave something in you that will stay with you for the rest of your life. But it doesn't have to make something that requires cleaning diapers. Ra called it the one night stand, which we have all kinds of judgments against, but isn't that beautiful to allow yourself to be penetrated by your neighbor on the plane? And what is that balanced out by? It's individual spirit, individual responsibility. Material wealth and individual spirit are dependent on each other. This is emotionality. This is moody emotionality. But in the role model frequency, it's taking care of itself. Oops, sorry about that. Fifth line, seduction, seduction. The power of sexuality to attract others is the middle path here. But we know that the dark side of that is not a pleasant one for many people. Assimilation, the potential here is emotional strength, individual emotional strength that derives from a position of influence, the projection that you have the spirit of abundance. The fourth line, friendship. Of course, friendship can have a meanship to it too, right? But the potential here is the power for non-sexual closeness and intimacy. And isn't this becoming a theme? I don't know what you see in your feeds, but I see a lot of stories about younger people not having sex. I see stories about married couples in Japan, which are non-sexual. They marry their friends in order to have the economic benefits, things like this. We don't need to make more humans anymore, is really what's underneath all of this in the big scale of things. And what is that balanced out by? By the balance of emotional awareness and energy, which isn't something humanity has much practice with, in the sense that the emotional center is a motor these days. It's not really much of an awareness center, although with time, the emotional intelligence that can come out of here can be quite impressive to someone who's open like me. The materializing and trial and error of intimacy is, I would say, euphemistically called openness here. The general openness to become intimate despite the making and breaking of bonds, balanced out by innocence in the emotional center here. The innocence has to do with the trials and errors around abundance, around the individual spirit. To cope with failure in innocence is the potential of this third line. Meanwhile, the natural at intimacy is shyness. Shyness behind self-imposed walls. Not imposed by the mind, by the way, but genetically, that the body is so picky about the intimacy that it will allow. It might not never have intimacy. This is a natural at penetration and fertility, but there might not be anyone to penetrate. It's kind of a matter of luck, isn't it? But on the other side of that shyness is trust. Abundance is also a question of trust. Trust in what? And then there's the foundation of intimacy. The vitality to tear down walls is the middle path here. But at the genetic level, and we see this in sexual violence, it's about stronger genetics conquering weaker genetics. And on a genetic level, that is healthy because it makes different. You know, if only weak bred with weak, well, we would have Arkansas. Sorry. Okay, I'm not going to go any further there. Let's talk about the foundation of abundance. This is individual spirit, by the way. This is individual emotionality. But what is its foundation? It's cooperation with powerful forces. Because the spirit is protected by aligning itself with more powerful forces. And I'll linger here for a minute because this place where the earth is transiting this week is so moody. Ra called it the most unstable and volatile of the emotional gates. I think you said the same thing about gate 6 too, but whatever. Individuality is about honoring mood. You cannot perform as an individual. You will be off frequency if the mood is not right. And this is the grounding force that we're all going to be penetrated by neutrinos this week. So I'd like to encourage you all to honor your mood and recognize that there's no point in enforcing something if you're not in the right mood. And we've just come out of a week of being grounded in the fates. So these emotional gates. But guess what? The coming years are going to be quite emotional. The nodes are going through the emotional center, basically. And so I know what it's like as an open solar plexus person to experience this, and I'm hoping that you all might find your individual spirit and maybe some juicy intimacy to balance it out. Take good care, love yourself. I'll share some more in 6 days. Also, just let me mention, in case you don't know what I'm even talking about, human design. Get your chart. And yeah, these are the sources I've been using, and that's where you can find me. Take care.